Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Smooth. Can you share a little bit about your progress, how you go from college, decide on a law career, and became a lawyer, etc.? Would you share with the audience that?
Well, thank you for imagining that it was smooth. I, I started off in college, majored, as I said, in East Asian studies. I did some graduate work in economics in between, and then went to law school and started my career in international business law, which I thought is what I wanted to do. I found that I didn't enjoy it as much as I imagined, and I started doing work in courtrooms through volunteer work. And so I left the private firm and started doing domestic violence prosecution. And I did mostly the elder abuse and child abuse cases for the city of Seattle. And then was recruited to the U.S. Attorney's Office, where I prosecuted a variety of kinds of cases. I did the child prostitution cases, the hate crimes for the Western District of Washington, a high-profile international terrorism case, and a variety of other kinds of cases before I was invited to apply for appointment in Superior Court. And Governor Locke, former Governor Locke, appointed me to a vacancy almost 19 years ago now, where I then had to stand for election and served for 10 years in Superior Court. And I'm now in my 9th year on the Supreme Court.
Wow. And I understand that you get reelected every 6 years or so?
Yes, it's a 6-year term. The initial election was immediate after appointment, but after winning a full term, it's every 6 years.
When you come across cases, I sometimes wonder how often do you use your head versus your heart when you're ruling a case? I know justices are expected to use their logical side of their brain more than the emotional side or the compassion side. Can you tell us about the conflict, if there is any, when come across those kind of cases?
Well, I hope that in every case we're using our heads. I hope also that we're informed by our hearts, that we understand that what we do has real consequences, and it should move us to think carefully about the case, to think not just about the outcome, but how we write it, how we describe what happened, how we talk about the people who are affected. I think both heart and mind play a part in crafting a reasonable ruling that gives careful guidance, not just in the case before the court, but for future cases as well.
I'd like to find out a little bit about what you think when you see on the news protests against police brutality and the violence that goes on in the community. What kind of thoughts go across your mind?
I think there are lots of strong feelings that have built up, and I think that the stay-at-home orders have affected how people are reacting to these things now as well. It's important that we examine our institutions and how they touch the rest of us, and specifically now to understand how those institutions might be perpetuating bias and disproportionality, and to do everything we can to be honest with ourselves about who we are, who we've been, and who we hope to be.
So as a justice, what do you see your role in how you can help rectify or remedy the current civil unrest and disobedience that is going on in the country and specifically in Washington state?
Well, we don't have a direct role in addressing it as it's happening. Sometimes there are cases that are brought. The one I'm thinking of was in federal court, where a federal court judge, a trial court judge, imposed an injunction on the city of Seattle, regarding the methods that they could use on the crowds. So a court can be involved that way when parties bring a lawsuit, and then we have to weigh the law and the facts and issue a decision. For us, I think what it prompts is renewed vigor in addressing who we are and what our court rules mean. It might mean reevaluating how we ensure access to justice to everyone, how we make sure that we're recruiting diverse people into the profession of the law, and particularly as judges, how we listen to each other more carefully and examine how we're doing things to make sure that we're not unintentionally perpetuating the problem.
It's fun.